Listen to this. I'm going to get your reaction to it on the back end.
Our goal continues to be to send a clear message to Russia or others not to do this to us, because we can do stuff to you. But it is also important for us to do that in a thoughtful, methodical way. Some of it we do publicly. Some of it we will do in a way that they know, but not everybody will.
All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of 10 being the most severe thing that the United States could have done, and in keeping in mind the statement that we just heard from President Obama that there are a lot of things we could do that not everyone's going to know about, where does what we saw today rank on that scale?
Well, pretty much this ranks somewhere along the 1 to 2 on a scale of 10 line.
That's
placing
pretty low.
sanctions against Russian, yeah, it's pretty low. Well, placing sanctions against Russian intelligence, the FSB and the GRU is almost a non-starter for the most part. But going after the individuals and putting them on that sanctions list essentially gives us the latitude to essentially sanction the Kremlin to a certain extent. The key question here is, will this last past 20 days? Will Donald Trump just lift these sanctions? And if he does, he's essentially saying that Russian intelligence is fine by him. But we could do very damaging things that would be essentially war.
So you're
and that's what a 10 would be.
So you're essentially saying right now that what has happened today is more on the symbolic side, given the fact that President Obama is leaving in the matter of three weeks, and this could be reversed. But more importantly, that out of all of the tools in our arsenal, President Obama is not using nearly enough.
Well, what I am saying is that the cyber weapon systems that we have, and some people don't like that term, but when we use them in terms of cyber warfare, that's essentially what they are. They're the electronic equivalent of cruise missiles. I mean, things could get much, much worse, and it will be very interesting to see how Russia takes this. But let's just be honest about something here, and very clear. Russia conducted a cyber warfare attack on the fundamental structure of the American democratic system that has been in place for 240 years. Any other time in history, this would almost be considered an act of war. So the electronic warfare methodologies that the president may choose to use can be executed with just one keystroke. We may never know what those are.
So why are we not treating it as an act of war? Why is the president and others not treating this as an act of war if you're saying this was an act of war on our democratic system?
That's entirely a political question that has to be determined. I mean, it hasn't actually broken any physical infrastructure. People don't understand that cyber warfare is a battle space. It's a place where we have many, many billions of dollars in resources. It will be determined whether we actually conduct warfare against the GRU, Russian Military Intelligence, or FSB, the former KGB, or whether we go after the oligarchies of Russia or the cyber criminals themselves, which Russia uses as subcontractors. That's more likely to see, you're more likely to see a cyber warfare operation against that group of people who have illicit funds than you would against the Kremlin itself.
All right, let me ask you to put on your intelligence hat for a moment for us and help us decipher this Donald Trump statement. What do you make of it in terms of how he phrased it, in terms of saying, you know, he doesn't make any reference to the sanctions, saying it's time for our country to move on to bigger and better things. Sounds like he's kind of dismissing this whole talk about sanctions and Russia hacking, but at the same time saying he's still going to be meeting with the leaders of the intelligence community next week in order to be updated on the situation and the facts.
Well, it's absolutely stunning that Donald Trump is going to wait a week to be briefed by the U.S. intelligence community. He could demand a brief at any time, 24/7, 365, but to put this off a week shows that he doesn't want to handle it. And it also shows, you know, if we're physically attacked, is Donald Trump going to actually wait a week before he talks to intelligence? He needs to understand, and perhaps he doesn't even comprehend what cyber warfare is. And some of his past statements have shown that he really doesn't understand what's going on here. But another part of it is he doesn't seem to think that this is a great thing that, you know, has happened, you know, to American democracy. He seems to dismiss it out of hand. This is a fundamental attack on America's natural processes, which has never been done in the history of this nation. And for those people who are dismissing this as a leak or a rumor, then you don't understand that America has never had an enemy put their hand on the thumb of the scale of the American electoral process, and it could just as easily happen to Donald Trump.
All right.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.